Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Zahra khotimah. My SRN is 1901120024. In this video, I would like to present the article that I have read to accomplish my assignment in the class English Assessment Development. So the article journal that I have here is about assessment of teacher gains across multiple historic site-based professional development programs written by Christine Baron, Sherry Qualitz, and Amia Nella Blanco from Tufts University, Medford, USA, Columbia University, New York, USA. Yeah. So overall, this article doing some kind of study to assess the teacher growth in historical knowledge, skill, and disposition at historic site-based teacher at PD programs. And was the third year study or the third year project about assessing the teacher ability or knowledge and historical knowledge. Just for some information, in year first and second year, the researcher sought to understand what teachers gain from their site on site and the importance of the power of place for teachers' historical conceptual and content development and their prioritization of pedagogy and opportunity to problem solve curricular issue with their peers. And the researcher have identified multiple conceptual and pedagogical connection from this work and tie them to exciting research standard across three fields such as teacher, social study, and museum education. So with the kind of history that they had before, the researcher were moving forward to something like a consensus of historical disciplinary knowledge and skill necessary for students, which is further identified 9 core practice necessary for teaching history, and from discipline stage, they use historical questions such as challenge and adapt historical sources, integrate a wide range of historical research, model and support historical reading skills, and employ historical evidence, engage students in historical conceptual analysis, and also facilitate discussion on historical topics, model and support in historical writing, such as assess students' thinking about history. So these core practices have been helpful for identifying disciplinary teaching practice within the field. Alright, so I'm moving straightly forward, and this is some research sites. So yeah, this research took place into Summer Teachers Institute held at 2 American presidential homes, which is from 2 different places, and both in Washington and Jefferson were slaveholders, and their estates were working plain tension, depending upon the labor of more than 1,100 enslaved people who live at the two sides. Okay, yeah. And the difference between the places they were institutes was the degree of directionness that each program offered. At Monte Carlo, participants had fewer tours and lecturers than at Mount Vernon, but spent more time developing their own classroom material. Also, at Mount Vernon, there were sections that explicitly interrogated slavery and race in a workshop like the format. Yeah. Even though like that, the position the study within a complexity, the theory which acknowledged that effective professional development require multiple and cycling movement between the system of influence in teacher words. And this is the drawing about the different theoretical position works. And then the next is methodology. So The methodology that captured or held in this research is multiple causality, multiple perspective, and multiple effect that constitute a complex activity between a complex system and subsystems from the perspective of interacting agents. The Q methodology data collection tool called Q sort, which is comprise a statement known as the concourse. This is force choice method of rank items in relation to each other rather than on a fixed scale. Yeah. And then the modification of the course in order to work across multiple sites and the manner of modification. The researcher in the study made some modification in conjunction with the museum education staff to ensure the integrity of the course and the assessment as a whole. An expert panel reviewed the modification, so this statement are abstracted in the table 4. Yeah, there are only modification made in the administration of the assessment. And then of course the participant is the teacher completed short at 2 historic sites, 33 from Monte Carlo and 19 from Mount Vernon. Yeah. And this is the table 4. Oh, sorry, this is table 1. Which is telling about the participant, the race, and then the gender, and then the teaching specifically, and then the highest degree, and then shorter, and then more information. So yeah, and then the data analysis, of course, just like what I'm saying before, they were using Q methodology software called PQ method to analyze the correlation among short, agent value, and rotated factor loadings, and Z0, and also ranking of Q statements in each factors. Here in the table 2, we have the participant. Yeah. And then the result of the loading by factor. And here we have the national item standard correlations. This is the correlations table. Yeah. And as a result, so in Q methodology are presented as factor, which is our best thought of a cluster of participants who rank items in similar ways. And then the participant is referred to a loading on a factor with when their response are congruent with other participant in particular factor. Based on the promptums for pretest, the goals of participating in this HSBPD is to affect the development as the teacher. By pause and participant in HSBPD affected to development as a teacher by for factor identify where such as the first factor is theoretical thinking and analysis, which is 18% to 47% of participant, and then the second factor is historical pedagogical content knowledge, which is 47% to 22% of participant, and then the third factor is peer collaboration of feedback. It have 24% to 16% of participant, and then the last factor is general pedagogical multiple diverse perspective, which just have 11 to 2% of participants. So from the pre to the post test, it is possible for participants to rank items differently and potentially move from one factor to another or to no factor at all. Therefore, as the currently study, it is possible that the percentage of participant loading on factor does not equal 100 similarly. It is possible for 3 to be same number of participant of load on a factor in pre-5 post-test, but the individual loading to be different, and there are shift or illustration in the table 5, 7, 9, and 11 which we will see soon. So the findings that most significant is the movement of participants from factor 2, which is historical pedagogical content knowledge, to factor 1, historical thinking and analysis. The way in which participants loaded on factor 3 and 4 and the pretest are both consistent with earlier finding and less revealing, as most participants move off of this factor from this factor in the pre to factor 1 in the pause. Yeah. And this is the next table. This is a table 5 showing the first factor about historical thinking. And this is table 7 about pedagogical content knowledge. There is some participant prefer to the factor 1 and some factor 3 and then the factor 4 and more. And then in this is table 6 showing the first factor about historical thinking. And this is just some opinion from the researcher. And this is also table 8, which is also have some kind of opinion about historical pedagogical content knowledge. And this one is the other table showing the other factors and everything. Yep. And this is just short explanation about the factor, which is I think I don't have to explain. And the last one, I think that we're just going straight to the conclusion, right? Alright, so what I would like to say that the result of the study is really amazing. Every teacher in the third year study have upgrading their skill and their knowledge and more about historical, which is also going to help them to develop more ability in the class for students and giving more knowledge for their students. Yeah. And it is fair to say that even if engaging with ongoing archaeological work or resting with unsolved historical questions change their understanding of fundamental historical process, it may not radically alter the work due there in their classroom like here. Or might, as yet, we do not have sufficient evidence to make their claim. We know that change in epistemological and understanding and disposition can lead to change in classroom practice, which just means that that situation also will help the teacher learning more and more about the historical things. Yeah, I think that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching my video and watching my presentation. I think that's all. So I'm sorry for any mistake during my speech. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.